I'm kind of baffled about this, but here it is. This is the actual PlayStation 5. After so many months of talking about leaks and rumors and speculation, it is finally launched. And I'll just be honest, I am extremely happy. This is mine hooked up right now, and I've been playing a bunch of it. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is going to be my brutally honest review for the PlayStation 5. Now, what I want to do in this video is talk about everything I've experienced thus far, because I have tried to do as best as possible to see every aspect of the system, from multiplayer to testing out online, lots of stuff about the backwards compatibility, and of course, those big old juicy launch games. In fact, for this video, I decided to purchase pretty much every single game at launch, including Demon's Souls, Bugsnax, Spider-Man Miles Morales. I really wanted to get the full taste of PS5, mostly because I am a big PlayStation 5 guy. I really enjoy all the different systems. I definitely own over 1,000 games total across all the generations. I mean, just with the PlayStation 4, I own nearly 500 games on my PlayStation 4. So I've been curious how the PS5 is going to measure up. Now, my biggest thing with this system was that I wanted to see what they were trying to do next. I feel like graphics keep getting better, visuals, of course, getting higher resolution and stuff, but what I wanted to see is, how is the PlayStation 5 going to be different? Well, one of the major things they're trying to invent is a new functionality when it comes to the controller. Now, this is the one thing I think is interesting, but it does also bring me to the one major drawback I've kind of experienced thus far. Now, the PS5 controller has a lot of little interesting stuff inside of it. This is a bit of a technical marvel. The built-in controller microphone is surprisingly high quality. I was using this for voice chat today, but what's more fascinating to that is whenever you want, it's possible to go into games, and all PlayStation 5 games have haptic feedback technology, basically making it where a lot of us are used to the idea of rumble while you're playing a system. If you get shot or hit or fall off a cliff, the controller itself will shake, right? That's pretty standard by now, but this system is trying to take things one step further, which is almost a physical punishment for your mistakes, which is coming in the form of haptic feedback. So while you're playing games, the triggers themselves can actually lock. If a gun jams, it could actually stop the trigger from pulling, or certain games just make it where the more you pull, there will be a physical resistance, and it'll be encouraging. Like if you pull harder, it'll hit harder, but it is a little bit exhausting, at least for your tiny fingers, to do this. Now, this is obviously cool, and I'm very excited to see how this gets operated and implemented over the course of the next couple of years, but right now, it has created a tiny bit of a problem, which is that it clearly drains the battery life of the controller itself. Having all this extra technology, all these extra gears and processors and doodads, it does drain the battery a little bit faster. Not so much that this thing has like a 2-hour battery life or anything, but I can tell that this does actually drain the controller faster. Now, the reason this doesn't concern me too much is because I got the PlayStation 4 at launch, and when I had it back then, people who actually purchased that 7 years ago, a lot of y'all remember Sony had to release a firmware update because the PlayStation 4 controllers were dying way too fast, and Sony managed to reprogram them remotely. That way they would deactivate themselves faster. Like when you set it down, they would turn themselves off faster. They also made it where the lights on the PlayStation 4 controller would turn themselves off quicker or make themselves dimmer. They did a lot of like software updates to make sure that the controllers were more efficient, and it definitely worked. And I think that that's probably going to happen again for the PlayStation 5. Now let's talk about games, because this is extremely cool. The biggest change from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, in my opinion, definitely comes down to the solid-state hard drive. This is technology that's existed for a while in PCs, but this is an all-new development in the world of console gaming. Now, what this does essentially is that means that it dramatically reduces load times, which doesn't sound like a big deal. Maybe you think, okay, whenever I have load times, I look at Twitter or something. Well, here's the deal. Basically, game developers are having to deal with slow hard drives on the last gen tech. They're not having to do that anymore, which means that when you're playing games, they can create a faster character, faster action, more things on screen at once, because now they can instantaneously pull up the data they need. speed. And that's why when I was playing things like Spider-Man Miles Morales, I could really zip around and see a very gorgeous and very good looking version of that world. Like, it is kind of shocking how fast it could just have me zip around very, very fluidly, and everything looks bright and gorgeous and flashy and full resolution. And let's just talk for a second about the graphics of Demon's Souls. Now, I am going to be doing a full review of this tomorrow when I have a chance to actually beat it, but already just the first couple hours, I'm dramatically just blown away by the mix of, like, it has such an artsy look and also almost a photorealism at once. Like, it has great particle effects and crazy blood and gore, and it's just so freaking fun. But I'm just, like, already I knew that it was going to be a fun game. I'm just blown away by how good it looks. Like, how much they managed to nail the aesthetic of Demon's Souls in this game. Like, this is definitely the best looking game I have ever seen in my life, and it's a PlayStation 5 launch game. Things from here are only going to get bigger, better, and brighter. Now, this solid-state hard drive is, of course, very good for the new games that are coming out, but retroactively, this does help backwards compatibility. Now, for a second here, I just want to talk about the previous generation, which is that PlayStation 4, something I thought was most interesting about it was the fact that they really tried to bring together a bunch of different generations of PlayStation. Of course, there was the PS2 on PS4 system, where you could actually play stuff like, this is Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and here it is, running on my PlayStation 5. Everything that could run on a PlayStation 4 also runs on a PlayStation 5. There are like 50 total games out of 4,000 tested that don't work, but everything else runs very, very seamlessly. And this solid-state hard drive, it definitely upgrades the experiences. It actually lets you play these games even faster, even more fluidly, and with a very, very interesting updates. Like, something that's really cool about this is because now we have a solid-state hard drive, and of course these more powerful graphics, certain games are already getting, well, updates. Some of these games that are already existing that you may have already purchased already look better on the PlayStation 5 than they ever could have on the PlayStation 4. Like, this is Ghost of Tsushima, and holy heck, does it somehow look like a PlayStation 5 game, even though this came out 3 months ago. Like, even though I already got the Platinum Trophy, I'm strangely craving to try and go back and maybe do a New Game Plus, or something like Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne's a weird one because this one, despite the fact that it does have a nice updates, the fact that there are like no load times and it is very, very swift, this game does not run at 60 frames a second. Most games coming over to the PlayStation 5 do run at 60 frames a second now, but certain experiences that were just not made to be able to operate in 60 FPS, the update does nothing for them. So sometimes when I'm playing extremely retro stuff, like if I'm playing Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, this game is not going to get bigger and better looking. You're still kind of getting the same version, just now without the load times. But even still, I do think that this is an interesting idea. These visual upgrades and these just improvements to the smoothness and stuff really do affect the experience. Like, even more so than I could have predicted, I'm kind of blown away by it. And that is kind of what I'm enjoying the most about the PlayStation 5, is that it does feel like it's just more PlayStation, but even more fluid, even better, even kind of just expanded. Something I wanted to do personally is, while I was testing stuff out, I was specifically trying to find games that wouldn't work. Like, this is more of an obscure game, but one I'm completely in love with, .hack GU Recode. This is like an anime game, super, super good. I really like it. It's like a game inside of a game. Well, I played it on the PS5. It looks great. It runs great. It is basically a PlayStation 5 game, even though it is a remake of a PS2 game. But now let's talk about something that's very different, something that's been completely added to the PlayStation 5 that I don't think that this has ever existed before. It is completely blowing me away, which is the new quick menu. So whenever you're playing these games, whenever you want, you can actually open up the PlayStation menu just by tapping this button. Instead of going back to the home screen or anything, it brings up this little bar at the bottom that lets you do things like invite your friends. You can start up Spotify and start to just listen to music that will replace the in-game soundtracks. You can just have your funky cool beats. But there is something else you could do in this that's very interesting, which is that if you invite a friend while you're playing, you can stream your screen to your partner. Now, this isn't just the gameplay. You can actually stream the full audio, the full visuals, everything very, very seamlessly to them, which means that if something's happening, like if you're trying to play co-op, you can put them in the corner of the screen and watch them play while you are playing. Like, this is my buddy the Mooch, and while we were playing, I was able to watch him play Spider-Man in the corner of my screen. Now, obviously, I own Spider-Man as well. I've already done a 100% file on it, but if for some reason I had not yet purchased it and I was on the fence, the fact that I can watch my friend play it while I'm enjoying my own experience, that to me is revolutionary. This is some really groundbreaking stuff that I think is kind of pushing the boundaries of gaming in general. Now, I'm a big co-op gamer. I love being able to play stuff online with my friends, and this is a piece of tech I'm going to be using a lot. But now let's talk about something else I definitely didn't love too much, which is just the PlayStation 5 dashboard. I just don't think this looks very good. It feels like it's trying to replicate a cell phone or something. It's just these couple big boxes trying to actually sort through things like the store, installing new games. A lot of this stuff, it doesn't necessarily work bad, but it just doesn't look as good as I would like. It really kind of made me wish that they would introduce some sort of like retro theme where I could make it look like my PlayStation 4 did. Perhaps they'll do that in the future. Perhaps we'll be able to customize this desktop, but in its current format, I don't know, it reminds me of an iPhone, and I'm not the biggest fan of iPhone look. But I guess I'm really into what we're seeing so far. The PlayStation 5 has started off with a lot of promise, and I'm definitely here for it. If I had to give it a review right now, if I had to put a score on it, I do think I'd give this a 9.5 out of 10. This is exactly what I hoped it would be, and yet so much more. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I want to end this video with just a little like off-the-cuff thought here, which is just something from the heart. I am very happy with my PlayStation 4, and I guess in a weird way, now that I'm having to pack it up and put it in a box, I'm gonna kind of miss it. And what I mean by that is, I purchased my PlayStation 4 day one. I purchased it right at the start of 2013, like right as it came out in 2013, and the day I bought that system was kind of the day I decided to be a YouTuber. So here I am, 400 PlayStation 4 games later, hundreds and hundreds of videos made, all sorts of different updates and top 10s and reviews, and now nearly 200,000 subscribers. I guess in a way, I feel kind of thankful and almost reminiscent and reflective of how much I love the PlayStation 4. So while I'm not going to necessarily miss that console because I do think the PlayStation 5 is better, I'm thankful that it happened. Thank you to everybody who came along with me for that journey, and now, here we go, beginning the next big trip of PlayStation. I love you guys a bunch, and seriously, thanks. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.